Happy New Year, friends, members of this group that meets at this channel. We are getting back to work. As you may know, one of my briefs is rebuilding the people that I share ethnicity with, the Igbo people. And I use every weapon at my disposal, every peaceful weapon, every weapon of peace to do my work. This is about a little over a week of my stay in the American state called Ohio, in the city called Cleveland. When I arrived, there was no snow. But 3 days after my arrival, it began to snow. And I experienced a snowstorm for the first time in my life. Man, it's not pretty. And it helped me to confirm something that I had been thinking about for a very long time. Let us call a spade a spade. As history students, we read about this or that empire in West Africa. I do not believe that those things were really functional societies. I don't think they were functional societies at all. If they were functional societies, the evidence has not been shown to me. And I will try to squeeze in some information about why I believe they were not really functional societies. I believe they were remains of things similar to what we see today that Afrocentric historians wanted to present to the world as evidence that people were also able to come up, that people in that part of the world were also able to come up with, quote, civilization. But that is only tangential to what I'm going to say today. I have this conviction that environment, when it is too friendly, when I say environment now, I mean culture and nature. When they are too friendly, people go to sleep. And I believe that that was why functional societies were not able to thrive in, let me concentrate on West Africa for now. The Igbo society, which I came from, thrived for a while because it came from outside with a strong culture. But over time, that comfort produced by the 12 months of summer elevated the people, and they went to sleep like all the other peoples in the group. This is a subject I'm going to really deal with. But for now, you may listen to what I had produced, written about this subject. If a functional culture is developed in or comes to climes that have winters, people will be forced to become builders and maintainers. I don't think you needed to be told to take life very seriously if you found yourself in a place like Ohio during the winter. And definitely you will become not just a survivor, but a builder if you have managed to develop or to assimilate a culture that can build. There are cultures that can build. There are cultures that can only fight. There are cultures that can build. The Western civilization can fight and it can build. The Igbo civilization can develop and can defend if it is in an environment that is challenging. That's my experience from Cleveland, Ohio. You have no option than to adapt and become serious if you want to survive. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm scared to step outside of the door because of the cold. If you are faced with such a circumstance, what happens? You won't have time to look at the reels on Facebook. You have to think of how to survive. Then I began to think about one people who were split into two. I know that there are people who still have doubts over some of the issues I'm going to talk now. And I will continue to prove that they have not done the studies. They have not done the research. That is why they doubt that the people we call the Igbo people today and the people we call the Ashkenazi Jewish people today came from Israel. I will continue to lay the facts bare. People may not read them because a lot of people don't want to stress themselves by reading. But if they read the facts I've brought out, both groups were one people 1,500 years ago. They were one people, they were speaking one language. Very soon, the world will be shocked by what's coming out. So, thinking about one people split into two with similar access to one culture. Both people had access to the culture of Israel. The culture of the Israelites is a building culture. You won't find the ancient Israelites with the skyscrapers and so on and so forth, except when they ventured into the era of having kings. But you would find them egalitarian, men, women, and children operating as equals in a society that came near to perfection. One went north and ended up in the center of the winter lands in Europe. This was the Ashkenazi. That's where they were forged, Central and Northern Europe. Western, Central, and Northern Europe. Where people face the kind of conditions I've been facing for 3-4 days now, where you are scared of leaving the house because of the cold. They were forced to become strong. Challenged. Endless pogroms, persecution, marginalization, to use marginalization, the term that Igbos love most, anti-Semitism, which Nigerians are becoming wise that it is equivalent to Igbophobia. They were able to return to the land their ancestors were thrown out of, use parts of the same culture that they lost, that they were disconnected from, and they were thrown out of the land, and history. They were able to return, to convert 2 deserts and scrublands. Israel has become one of the most beautiful countries in the world, but look at maps of the land of Israel 150 years ago. By the way, when I visited there, my friend Rabbi Harry Rosenberg took me into the deserts, and I saw the mountains of Moab and Edom. And what were the deserts? Judean desert and Negev desert. A tiny country has 2 deserts. But the Ashkenazi Jews were able to convert this into a thriving country. And what did they build it with? Memory that their ancestors were there. The memory that their ancestors were there. Written records that their ancestors were there. And remnants of the culture of the Israelites. They turned that country into one of the countries people are proud of today. Every country, every important country in the world wants to associate with the state of Israel. Then what happened to the other part? The half that went southwards, the Igbos. They migrated into the tropics. I have a Fulani friend, very studious. We were discussing about the tendency of the tropics to lure people to sleep. He's visited Turkey before, so he can talk about winter, he can talk about the endless summers of West Africa. He said in West Africa, if you like, you can even go naked. It's not challenging. But because the Igbos entered that climb with survivors of the culture of the Israelites, a building culture, They were able to build a democracy that Henry Kissinger recognized. They were able to have a culture that pointed and painted them and showed them to be westernized. They developed the fastest moving, growing economy between 1955 and 1966. Then life came. They suffered genocides. The genocides were avoidable. But that they were not avoided does not excuse anybody to commit genocides. But what happened after the genocide? Recovery has been evasive because the 12 months of summer lulled the Igbos to sleep. So rather than do what the Ashkenazi have done, the Ashkenazi used the memory that the land of Israel was where their ancestors lived. The Igbos are not even using the memory that they have been in Igbo land for 1,500 years. You have to dream about something that is reasonable. Dreaming that you were Igbo in Igbo land during the Ice Ages points to only something: lunacy, madness. Because no society around in the world today could claim that it was around as a distinct civilization during the Ice Ages. But we had Igbos beginning to tell Igbos that this was what was. That they existed 250,000 years ago as Igbos, speaking the same language, so they were distracted. They had nothing tangible to work with. Unlike the Ashkenazi Jew who could say, this was what David did, so this is what I'm going to do. The Igbos were deceived that at a place called Leja and Ugwele, that evidence was found that they were Igbos 250,000 years ago, speaking the same Igbo language, bearing the identity Igbo. So they had nothing to build with, and they went to sleep. So while their brothers and sisters have moved from a power to a regional power, to even a world power, because Israel leads the world in a lot of areas, what are Igbos doing? Over 50% of the population wake up in the morning and begin to look for gossip about Burna Boy and the Cubana chief priest. You can build a nation with this. You can't build a nation with this. My first video of the year 2025 is Igbos Wake Up. Thank you.